This is Stacey McKibben with the Master Communicator Podcast, where CEOs, C-suite executives, and senior leaders share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1 for you. Please, in a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
My name is Sean Sheppard. I'm a founder and partner at GrowthX and GrowthX Academy. I'm a serial entrepreneur turned investor. Turned frustrated investor who got tired of watching his companies fail because they couldn't sell, not because they couldn't build product. And so our focus is on market development and not product development. And now we do that in the form of investing in companies, helping them grow through our accelerator program, teaching people how to do the same through GrowthX Academy, working with countries and companies and governments to build tech ecosystems around the globe.
Oh my goodness, that has to be amazing fun.
I wouldn't do it otherwise.
That sounds great. Well, and I'll be really excited, especially with the climate that we have going on right now, the global pandemic, right? I think, your ideas from a global perspective will be, spot on. Question 2 for you. What's the best thing about leading people from your perspective?
Best thing about leading people from my perspective is helping them get, number 1, what they need, then number 2, what they want, and then see them remove all the self-doubt and build confidence around those outcomes.
I think watching people grow into themselves, that sense of self-exploration, but that confidence piece is really a game changer. Would you agree?
Without question. When people ask me the question, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? It would be trust your gut.
I love that. And I think a lot of times we still have to figure out, how to even listen to our gut to get to a place to be able to trust it, right?
You have to be able to get out of your own way and elevate your self-image into a place that allows you to tell yourself the truth. And it's really difficult for most people to do that. Society doesn't necessarily promote or support that.
Yeah. Societal norms want to keep you into a certain box and actually don't want you to venture too far outside of that.
That's right. And it all starts as soon as you get into the institutional education system.
Okay, so you and I are definitely going to have another podcast just to talk about that. I have a feeling. All right, I'll put a pin in that one because I'm going to go on to my next question, which is, I often hear from other leaders that business would be great if it weren't for that pesky people part. I'm curious, what are your thoughts about that?
I've had my moments in my life where I felt like that, like things would be better if it wasn't for the people. And I do recognize that the most complex part of any system is the human. But I also think that's what makes life beautiful. And I think that once we embrace and understand our role in helping other people get what they need and want and build and grow around that, and how we can contribute to the world in our own way, I think it breaks down the negative perceptions of what that means. I don't want to live in a world without people. I don't want a company or a corporation is just a collection of other people. And our primary core value at GrowthX, in fact, is people first. I've been on this earth now long enough to know that it's not what I do, it's who I do it with that matters most. And I'm very centered around people and what I can do to give them what they need and want.
That's amazing. What other successful business leaders like yourself should be on the podcast? I'm curious, what other voices out there should we be paying attention to?
Oh goodness, do you mean people that people would know, or people that we
not
wouldn't?
Necessarily? I mean, certainly people that we know are good, but who are you listening to? Like who's
Okay.
out there, and whether they're peers or industry competitors or big names, just who's influencing you?
Well, I have a very eclectic sort of taste because I don't necessarily fall in any one category. I go where I'm stimulated, intellectually speaking, of course. And that means, so for example, I love Joe Rogan. What do I learn from Joe Rogan? I learned how to have an open mind and be always curious and just let people share their thoughts and opinions and just be engaged in it. And you get a wide variety of opinions from somebody like a Joe Rogan. In recent years, I've really loved the work of Dr. Jordan Peterson and what he's done to be, I think, a more timely and relevant voice in a time where people lack meaning in their life and purpose. And he happens to also be, I think, one of the smartest people on the planet. at GrowthX Academy, we've been very fortunate to build a global network of mentors that are there as a community to mentor the students that go through the academy, hire them, use them for interns, refer people in. And we've built a pretty awesome class of people. I think about Nir Eyal, the author of Indistractable and Hooked, How to Build Habit-Forming Products. He'd be a fantastic guest for you right now. His blog is nirandfar.com, N-I-R, nirandfar.com. I think from a product standpoint, Dan Olson, the author of the Lean Product Playbook, is one of my favorite people. I love Adam Grant's work out of the University of Pennsylvania, the author of Give and Take and the Originals. I love Robert Greene, the Laws of Human Nature author, the author of 48 Laws of Power. Ryan Holiday, one of his proteges who wrote The Obstacle is the Way. I'm a big fan of Stoicism and how that helps me as a leader and a manager deal with things like this COVID crisis, for example. Mm-hmm. Because I think about my father, who was a great CEO and officer at Intel Corporation and a multi-time semiconductor Silicon Valley CEO, Bill Sheppard. He wrote this fantastic series of articles on LinkedIn about the 7 things being a Navy SEAL taught him, about leadership and management, and his life. And he just passed away this past year, suddenly and sadly at the young age of 67 from a very rare form of cancer. And it's been a devastating year for us as a family. But what he taught me, and what his father, who was a World War II Bronze Star winner at the Battle of the Bulge, and also a pretty successful executive and entrepreneur, but both of them self-made, both of them lift up by their bootstraps as blue-collar kids from the East Coast, taught me about leadership and management through what they learned in serving their country and serving their families, are very big for me. I watch and listen to the Mission podcast, which is all about accelerated learning. It's the only media company backed by Peter Thiel. So it's the mission.org or mission.org. And I've been on the podcast a number of times, but there's several podcasts. But what they teach you about accelerated learning how to learn quickly, which is what GrowthX Academy is all about. We're about accelerated learning, getting people to transition quickly into a career in technology when they come from somewhere else. And they're usually very high functioning, very high performing individuals doing that. So we focus a lot on learning how to learn quickly. That's
amazing. Thank you so much for all those insights. Yeah, I'm going to have to see if I can get us a list to put up in the description so that folks can go through that and see that there were a lot of great introductions there. And Bill Sheppard is your dad, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've read that article.
Oh, you have?
Mm-hmm,
oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. So,
okay.
My heart goes to you.
Thank you.
Question 5, what piece of advice about communication would you give to other leaders?
Just because we both speak English doesn't mean we speak the same language.
Oh,
every industry, every individual has their own way of using words to communicate what they're trying to communicate. Mm-hmm. So we're big on, and I'm big on what I call industry or market acumen. If you want to make an impression quickly and get to where you want to go faster, you need to speak to people in words that they use and understand, and you need to listen for words that they use and try to understand them and use them, as I say, not against them or for yourself, but for them.
Right.
Speak to them in words that resonate with them. And if you don't know what those words are yet, all you have to do is listen. And if you listen intently and you read intently, for example, when I first got into sales and into entrepreneurship as a whole, my father was one of the ones that taught me to not worry about necessarily being hyperactive in my activity and talking at people, but researching those people first. So I'd read 10Ks and quarterly reports and try and understand what people really cared about and what they were thinking, the words that they and industry analysts and the terms and the terminology of a space or a sector. People in financial services talk about the same problems and issues that people in IT talk about, but use very different words to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to understand that and fully immerse yourself into a taxonomy, a lexicon, if you will, helps you get where you want to go faster. It's much more efficient.
I could talk to you for hours, Sean. This is crazy. All right, I'm already at my question 6, though. Tell us about your favorite boss or teacher. Who's really influenced you?
We were talking about my father. I think that, and it took a lot of years for me to figure it out, because that's just the father-son dynamic.
I was just gonna say, so there's hope for me yet with my kids too.
Right. Well, I'm the only member of my family that hasn't grown up or worked in Intel's in Intel or the Intel ecosystem. I've just always been, again, an entrepreneur. That it called me. I didn't call it. Like, you don't get to choose it. It chooses you. Mm-hmm. And so I always had a very different path, and always looked at that world as I respect it, but I don't understand it. I'm not interested in it. But I didn't pay close attention until later in life, and I watched how my father rose meteorically through the organization and through life in general. And it had to do with how he dealt and managed and led people. It had nothing to do with what he learned as a mechanical engineer. Mm-hmm. And I realized very quickly that he knew how to talk to humans and to engineers at the same time. Mm. That's kind of the joke I make is, and I do something very similar in my role, in my function as I'm a 5-time founder. I've had 3 exits, but I'm not all in tech, but I'm not a technologist. I can't even spell HTML. Mm-hmm. My thing is, I know how to translate problems into products and solutions that happen to be applied technology, right? Mm-hmm. So I get that that really the importance is what you can do to move humans, in a certain direction, and mm-hmm. how that can help you as well. And so I look at him, I look at his career path, I look at how he handled all the challenges as a father, as a soldier, as an individual contributor, as a manager and a leader. And I saw someone that everybody looked to when things got hard. And he used to always tell me, it's not how you act, it's how you react that defines you. And so that's where I get most of my leadership inspiration from.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being on. This has just been incredible to hear your ideas and to be a part of your world for even, the last 10 minutes. It's amazing.
I appreciate it.
How can people find you if they want to reach out or if they want to learn more?
Sure. Well, they can certainly connect with me on LinkedIn, or follow me on Twitter. It's Sean A. Sheppard. Or, if they want to have a direct conversation, they can always shoot me an email, sean@growthx.com. They can go to growthx.com or gxacademy.com and see more about our businesses and the work that we're doing in the community. That's
amazing. Well, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. And this is Stacey McKibben with the Master Communicator Podcast. For more ideas and insights, please do go check us out at www.concilioteam.com. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.